Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Homewrecker podcast. I am the Golden Greek, Alex Arion, joined as always by my beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, amazing trophy wife, the lovely Monique.
Hello.
Monique, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I am great. Thank you. How are
Yes,
you?
I'm fantastic as always.
We just had so many awesome conversations,
Yes, we did.
and you're going to hear some of
Well, you're going to
them.
hear one of them right
Yeah.
now. Yes,
Yes.
we actually just got done recording a podcast
Yes.
with
Ketsuban from
Ketsuban.
the Wrong Warp
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. So we just got done actually recording his show
Mm-hmm.
and his after show that he does. But before that, we had the conversation that you were about to listen to, and
Yes.
it was a lot of fun. A really cool guy, and I like that he's very just kind of matter of fact about everything. Is
Yes.
very refreshing outlook on things, and I think you guys are going to enjoy the conversation
Yeah.
because we did. So
Yeah. It was really fun.
yeah. So before we get into that, though, was anything new going on with you?
There's always something new. It's been kind of a whirlwind, crazy, but nope, just still going to school for hypnotherapy and making organites. So I'm hoping in the next few weeks, it's all weather dependent because I work outside, but hoping to have some new stuff out soon.
Excellent.
Yeah. And you?
Same old, same old.
Yeah.
Loving life,
How
having
can you
fun.
not?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just having fun, hanging out with the kiddos every day, teaching them stuff.
It's wonderful.
It's yeah,
I love
I
it.
gotta say that's probably the greatest thing, being home with the kids all the time and being responsible and in charge of their education.
Yeah.
It's it's something that it's really a shame that public school even exists, and that our society is that way because parents, I feel, are robbed of those moments that they get with their kids when their kids actually learn something,
Yeah.
and they grasp a concept or the light bulb goes off about a certain idea or something.
And just
Parents miss
witnessing,
that.
yeah, those moments of like
Yeah.
when they say something that they weren't necessarily taught, but they came to it on their own because they're thinking and
Yes.
they say something, and you're just, and like seeing them. Ah, it's so
There's
great.
there
It's,
is nothing like it. And if you are able to, if you are a parent and you have kids and you're able to figure out a way to
yeah,
do it. Just do it.
it's so
Homeschool your kids.
rewarding.
It really is.
It's probably going to be really tough at first until you figure out a groove, but
It is tough.
yeah,
It's tough every day still, even now, but so what? It's part of the process. And but I tell you, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. I can't compare it to anything because it's so unique. And I mean, I send you videos all the
mm-hmm.
time that I'm taking if you're, off at work or you're not around. I because I want you to see, even just to get a little tiny piece of
Oh,
it. It's
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 amazing.
it's so rewarding. And I gotta say, for teachers, for the good teachers out there that do teach so many kids, it's wow,
Yeah.
what a feeling you must have, being able to witness those moments with kids. But I hope that someday our society and culture gets back to where parents are teaching their kids,
Yeah.
because I mean, geez, it's just such an
I mean, I
incredible
think
thing.
parents over the past year have had a very big taste of that for the most part.
Yeah, and I feel like some, it's like anything else. Some will excel and some will like it,
Mm,
and others won't. And it's too bad for the ones that don't. That's all.
yeah. I
But
mean, hey, everyone's
it
on
is
their
what
own
it is.
journey.
It
Yeah.
is what it is. So yeah. Anyway, but that's it for me. I mean, that's my everyday. But I
Yeah.
love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love it. I love it. So yeah, that's that. But anyway, enough about that.
Yes.
Everybody wants to hear the interview, so we're gonna
Yes.
get right to that. So without further ado, here we go with Ketsuban. Enjoy. All right, we are back and we are joined by Ketsuban from the
Hi.
Wrong Warp podcast. How's it
Yay!
going, man?
Good, man. How are you guys?
We're awesome.
Fabulous.
Awesome. Yeah, excited to have you here. We've been listening to your show for a little bit now and just really, really cool stuff, man. You talk about some really cool stuff. And yeah, we went back and forth a little bit on Twitter. Actually, Monique and you went back and forth a little bit on Twitter. She does all the social media stuff for us. And yeah, I was pretty psyched when she said that, we were gonna hook this up and do this deal. So yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So first of all, I have to say I love your intro music.
Yeah,
Oh,
we were just
thank you.
talking about that. Yeah.
And before we started recording, I was like humming it. And Alex is like, no, because I'm going to get it stuck in his head. But it's, I don't know, there's just something about it. I really, really like it. I enjoy listening to it. So it's cool because it's like gets you in the mood and it's like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like I feel things. It's so hard for me to articulate, but like how I
Mhm.
feel, it's just, it feels good and kind of like vibing. And then you get into these conversations and it's like, yeah, I feel this.
Yes. Yeah. It's good stuff.
It is. It is. How did you, is this a band? Because I saw that they're also from Oklahoma, which is where you're from.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know them or did you just hear them? What's
So
the connection?
I don't know them. I don't know them. Never met them. No connection. So it was like an Instagram sponsored post, I think, and it wasn't that song, just some random song, but it intrigued me for some reason. So I went to their profile and I creeped on them. I think people call it now, and that was somewhere in there, and it was like Instagram has slides. It was like 5 slides deep or something, that clip. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to use this for the show. And then after I had been using it for 3 weeks, I messaged them and asked them if I could. And they were like, yeah, for sure. Just give us credit.
That's awesome. And what is
Sweet.
the
There you
name
go.
of the song?
That song doesn't exist, actually. That
What?
song, it was written by their drummer when he was like 17 and they scrapped it. They just did it at that one live show. Isn't that wild?
That's
No
crazy.
kidding.
Because I
Huh.
was on YouTube searching for it and I'm like, I want to hear the whole song.
Yeah, it's not real. Actually, remind me later. I can link you. It's like the song itself doesn't exist, but there is that Instagram post that I found that has the full song, and it's really good.
We don't
Nice.
have Instagram. I don't know if
I
it'll let
have
me
it.
on. Oh, you do?
Yeah, I still have mine.
Okay.
I never go on it, but
Okay.
I have
So
it.
we'll
Yeah.
give it to you.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. We don't have Facebook because that's something else that you do is you have your show on Facebook and people can join
Mhm.
your group. And we don't have Facebook either. So we can't get in on the fun.
Man, so I pretty much hate social media. I hate Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I hate them, but I'm a slave to them, much like the majority of the population. So really, really, I got into them for the show, and that's all I use it for. But it has proven to be a pretty good tool, at the very least, Facebook, which you would think is the opposite. You would think that's like the worst one. And as far as like the general caliber of people on Facebook, it's not that great. But when you have a group and you're just linking people who found you from wherever, it's good. It's not very many. We have like 47 people in there, but they're the coolest fucking people.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I know so many people who are like, I hate Facebook, but this is how people find my business.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
there are like for some reason there's a lot of businesses that just use Facebook,
Yeah.
only Facebook. It's really
Yeah.
bizarre, kind of. To me, it's
Meanwhile-
like the algorithm or the intentions or whatever works.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
on Twitter, we're like having a revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's so funny, dude. Someone messaged me yesterday with just some weird random post, and I didn't know what they meant, so I'm just like, thanks, ha ha ha. And they were like, did you see the comments? And I'm like, oh. So I go to the comments. There's like 7 or 8 comments, but there's nothing. I don't know what they want me to look for. And so I think I messaged them that and was just like, yeah, I looked at them. What are you trying to show me? And I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was just some tiny thing about something being fake or something like that. So then I linked them to Twitter, and I haven't even heard from them in like 2 or 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're fucking people up in real time.
It's great.
It's fantastic. I love it.
It's amazing because
I love it.
we talked about it on the show before, but when we told my parents about like JFK didn't exist. Jean Benet wasn't real.
Yeah, I'm sure that went very well.
They were like, that makes sense.
Surprisingly, it
Oh,
did.
really?
Yeah.
I was
Surprisingly,
being
it did.
sarcastic.
Yeah, no, I know.
Oh, I know. Yeah. But
But
it actually, yeah.
like my parents have like slowly been building up, and they're not 100% there, but just that, because I was like, they know me, they know how I am. I'm just going to come out and say it because I'm being me. I kind of a couple of years ago was like, this is how I am, and you need to accept me. Like,
Yeah.
this is it. So take it or leave it. And so they take it, but they weren't being facetious or anything. They're like, that actually makes sense. And I just thought it was the neatest thing.
Yeah. It was fun, especially like when we got into like the JFK stuff and just explaining a couple little things, and they're like, I could see like her dad was kind of, you could tell he was kind of mulling it over a little bit,
Yeah.
and then I said, but think about it, if you look at it through that lens, I'm just saying, what if he wasn't real? Wouldn't everything else just make sense? And he's like, yeah, yeah. And I'm just like, wow, they're actually entertaining this. That's all I want.
Yeah, just trying to look at
just
it from
entertain
a
the thought,
perspective.
and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. Like my parents they believe a ton of conspiracies, but when I think it was John Benet Ramsey, maybe. I think it was John Benet Ramsey that I brought up. They weren't having it.
Really? When I told my dad, he's like, huh, interesting. Like you could tell he was trying to process it. A lot of it was going over his head, but he was trying to process it. And I'm like, the fact that he's even trying to process it and not shutting that door right there.
That's progress right there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that if we could have just more and more people every day just doing that a little bit.
Yeah, but I think it's also important to not get lost in there, man, because
Yes.
all the time I'm seeing this. You find I call it fake Twitter. You find fake Twitter and you follow all these accounts, and it's super great. But I think a problem arises when you get a little bit too into it, and maybe archetypes of people are going to be who they are no matter what, but they get too into it to where it becomes an actual aspect of their personality.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's good. If you're asking me, it's bad to let anything integrate itself into your personality. But the conspiracy stuff, here's what's so funny about it is fake Twitter, a lot of conspiracy stuff. It's like the code. It's showing you that all of this stuff is fake, and it's amazing. But if you stay on that and keep looking and digging into that and get stuck on it, it's like it has the opposite effect. Fake Twitter, I meant to say, shows you that things are good. Things are really okay. That's what's at the end of that path.
Yeah.
But when you get stuck there and you're on the Twitter all day, it's the opposite effect because you're like fear all the time.
And that's one thing I don't get is when you see people twisting it to become fearful. I look at it like, whoa, wait a minute, where are you going with this? Like, why are you putting it in that perspective? That's not the point of it. So it's nice that you said that. And I think with any rabbit hole, if you will, there are people who are just going to get so deep. They just keep digging, and they're going to have a really hard time trying to find a light.
But like I said, a lot of times I think certain archetypes of people just are going to be what they are no matter what. Something I was talking to Rambo the other day about, I don't know, he was talking about, I was more of just like ranting at him, is objectively a gigantic percentage of the truth community, the conspiracy community, it's very cringe, okay? It just is.
Yep.
It's very cringe stuff. And the problem is, because like I said, that's going to exist no matter what. But the problem is, you got these very cringe people, but they're like saying the truth. So it's like, well, I agree with you, but you're making me and all my guys look bad. Does that make sense?
It does.
It does. Yes.
I think a big part is the energy that's brought.
Yeah. So true.
And
that's it. Yeah.
It's not always the words coming out, it's the energy that you give off. So you can be saying the right, quote unquote, right thing, But if your energy is off, it's not going to mesh with people and it's not going to come across in the way that
Yeah.
you may want it to or expect it to.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I was talking to my wife about the other day, actually, is I really do believe that there's only 10 or 12 different archetypes. You know, like if you've started a new job and there's a guy at this job that really fills the role for you of the guy at the last job. I think that we have, to me, it's like you are Jesus, you're your own personal Jesus, whatever you want to call it, and you've got like 12 disciples or 12 planets or whatever it is, but you have these energetic archetype. You have these energies in your life that surround you, like a almost like a toroidal field, and they're going to be there no matter what, no matter where you go, no matter how deep, how high, no matter what, they're going to be there. And I sometimes I think that there's nothing you can really do to change that. You know, and with these conspiracy guys, if it wasn't conspiracy or with the cringe guys, they would just be doing something else and being exactly as cringe. Like we were talking about how. Sorry, I'm gathering my thoughts. So these
Gather them.
archetypes, you got all these 12 archetypes and stuff. Have you ever seen two guys or gals do the same thing? One of them gets away with it scot-free 100% of the time. The other one, the hammer drops on them. Bam!
Oh, yeah.
You know,
All the time.
Sure,
that
of course.
that to me is that energy. You know, I think that you really get away with murder if you're like actually a good guy. If you actually have good intentions, and people sometimes perceive that as like people around you telling you you have good intentions or you having people's approval. But to me, you have to be a good guy and not tell anybody about it. You have to truly be and want good.
Yeah.
You know, and when you do that, just like you said, that's the energy. It doesn't matter what you're saying. You could go mumble gibberish at someone. They're going to feel that energy and they're going to be like, hey, how are you? You know, and then at the same time, you
Yeah.
can say some really heavy stuff. But if you're a bad guy or if you don't want good for the collective of the world, they're going to tell. They don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It does. It
Yeah.
absolutely does. Now,
Yeah.
before we start getting really too deep, before I forget, I just want people to know who are listening, who are watching, who aren't familiar with you, just kind of how you got to where you are now with your podcast, because you've had a bit of a journey.
It's definitely been a huge journey. So I think sometime in July of 2019, I started a podcast because I was bored, just kind of for fun type of thing. And it was called Ketsuban versus the World. And interestingly enough, the first episode was called Is Your Phone Listening to You? And it was all about that. So I did this show for like a year, maybe closer to a year and a half, I'm not sure. Nobody listening, wasn't that good. I interviewed a lot of local rappers and stuff like that. It's just me goofing around basically. And then, God, last year, maybe November, October, sometime around then, I had just kind of realized that I got to start talking about the truth, I guess. You know, and so actually I made the switch in January. I just changed the name of the show to The Wrong Warp, which is in reference to a Super Mario glitch, and kind of made it more about this stuff than the rapper and all that stuff. And yeah, so I think I got to like episode 13 or 14 or something like that, and then we had Human Vibration on, and then I think the day after, my entire feed, which at this point with Ketsuban versus the World, I was at I think 85 episodes, entire feed gone, demolished because of copyright claim. And who knows what it was? You know what I mean? I used to play all
Yeah.
kinds of YouTube videos, music, whatever on the show. And it was just interesting that it was right after Human Vibration. And then those guys, Black Pill Radio, they just got their feed
They just
taken
got
down.
yanked too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Copyright.
saw that.
Mhm.
You see a pattern?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's why we got to get our music changed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do it,
Yes.
man. Because I didn't think an audio feed could get taken down like that. To me, that was the whole point. Was like this guerrilla radio, like I'll just do whatever I want type of thing.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I was emailing my podcast host, cussing him out. You know, I pay for this, blah, 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 blah. But interestingly enough, they told me, I don't even remember what it was, but they told me the episode with the copyright, gave me the option to delete it, but I chose to delete it all. Because even if I deleted that episode at any moment, a week from now, 2 years from now, at any moment, they could find some piece of copyright stuff and get me again.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks.
Yeah, and unfortunately,
yeah.
that's how it is now with YouTube and just this censorship everywhere. And that's the problem when you that's the slippery slope when they start doing this kind of stuff, because like you said, 2 years from now they could find a show that you did that's acceptable today, but in 2 years from now, oh no, that's, you can't say that anymore, you can't talk like that, or
Yeah.
this is wrong to think, or whatever. It's such a
To me, it's just
crazy time
interesting
we're
that
in.
the copyright claims are very obviously not happening to everyone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of
You know,
course.
but
Absolutely.
it's the Black Pill Radio guys and the Wrong Orb.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, come on.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
there are people with like millions of downloads, and it's like,
Yeah,
what's going on here?
yeah.
People
Yep,
can't handle the truth.
that's it.
Can't, no. So the premise of your show is you're saying that, and tell me if I am paraphrasing it wrong, but the day-to-day lives that we're living, that is the real dream.
Yeah.
And when we
So
sleep
this
at
is the
night,
dream.
yes, this is the dream. I want you to elaborate on that a little, because I have some thoughts I want to talk to you about.
Sure. So that's actually a very interesting topic, and I'm about to do a big show about it, kind of, because I don't know, my show in the past month or so has kind of gotten more towards the conspiracy stuff and guests and stuff like this, and so I was actually planning on making kind of an entire episode just elaborating again, because I'm like, oh my God, these are not people not getting it, what I'm saying here. So this is a dream. And I think you're about to say that when we go to sleep, that's real life or whatever. I don't necessarily believe that. I think it's just as possible as anything else. And I don't want that to sound pompous. I truly mean that's equally as possible as anything. So to me, this is a dream. It just is. Kind of like we were talking about a second ago with the archetype stuff and that type of stuff. No, I don't care what anybody says. There is not one person who heard that it did not resonate with. It's just a fact. Or who is going to hear it, whatever you want to say. It's just true. And between that and the fact that everybody, regardless of what they admit, experiences synchronicities. Like all the fucking time. To me, I'm looking around. You know how in the conspiracy community, you're looking around like, guys, you're not seeing this? That's how I feel towards everyone, I guess. It's just, is this not obviously a dream or like a fucking game show or something? I don't know. I think that we have the ability to do whatever we want whenever we want to. I truly think... Oh, yeah, let me explain it. Let me explain this. So we are an infinite being. We are God. We are all that exists. Now, when you're God forever, for all of infinity, eventually you get used to that. It's just a fact. And it's much like if you've ever had any addictions or any habits. Just say like cigarettes, or say you really like apple pie and you eat a slice of apple pie every day. After a week or two of whatever it is, it gets kind of boring, and you're like, I gotta switch it up. And you figure out that the only way to get the dopamine from the first time you had the pie is to abstain from the pie. So you have to skip a day or skip 2 days or whatever else. And then when you get back to it, ooh, it's so good. It's, you smoke a cigarette after 8 hours of working, whatever it is. It's all the buildup and release of energy. So to me, we/I/you got bored, and our favorite thing to do is to come here, give myself amnesia, and then discover everything there is to discover about myself again through an infinite matrix-like system of eyes or lenses. And I don't know. I just feel like people are really against the dream thing, by the way. A lot of people like it, but the people who don't like it, they hate it. It's really weird. It's like, why? Why do you
Yeah,
care?
yeah. Right.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
doesn't this I feel like nobody will admit it, but everybody has experienced it. Doesn't this just feel a little dream-like?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. See, when I first heard you say that, and Monique and I talked about it a little bit, I'm like, what, that's pretty interesting. And that's the thing, like with all these type of theories and things that people say, conspiracy theories, all that kind of stuff. I've always been open to all of it, just because that's just how I've always been ever since I was a kid, always looking into this kind of stuff, conspiracy theories, I mean, and just always been open to these alternative viewpoints and theories of things, because I just feel like nobody knows for sure. And there's, you're kind of, in my view, uh, ignorant if you're not open to possibilities of other things. If you're so close-minded that you can't even entertain a thought that somebody else has, a viewpoint that's different than yours, what the hell is that living? Is that life? Is that exploring and making the most of this reality that we're in? So
To me, it's like sorry, go ahead.
no, that's it. No,
To me, it's like extreme denial. That's all it is.
yes, yeah,
When you don't entertain ideas, you're just in denial. Nobody I disagree with this, but nobody truly knows what's going on. And a lot of people, to me, the smart people, can admit that and say, I don't know.
yeah,
How would I know?
right,
And people of I don't even I don't even like condescending stuff. I don't want to say of lower intelligence, because I don't buy into that. People who just aren't there for whatever reason. You know, they hear this stuff and they run from it, pew, with their tail between their legs, because they're fucking terrified. They are so scared. And understandably so. I get it. Your parents taught you something. That's true. The illusion that we have of this external world is a pretty good illusion, because I/you are a pretty good fucking architect. And so you believe it. And whether or not your life's going good or bad, you have to believe that you have a grasp on what's going on. And I feel like everybody, no matter where you're at in life, has kind of understands that. That you gotta keep a lid on it and feel like you get it, because a lot of people can't handle the thought that, who knows, my parents could be wrong, your parents could be wrong, everyone could be, and they are. Everyone's wrong. There's nobody who exists who's just saying all the truth. How could they?
right, exactly.
One of the things you had mentioned is we're all connected. And I agree with that. I believe, again, I don't believe, I feel, because I'm trying to be more careful with my words. I feel there's a collective of everybody. So we're all one. And I don't know how you feel about hypnotism, past life regression, and life between lives, but I'm going to school to become professionally certified in hypnotherapy. And that's some of the stuff we're working on. And I did a regression through childhood, and then I went to a womb regression, and my entire soul, the person hypnotizing me, was able to speak with my entire soul. And some of the stuff that came out was very interesting. It kind of dinged on something that you said, is because my soul was saying that it's like an expansion, because there's us that's here, but then there's our higher self, but then it's like connected to everything. It's like these tethers. We're all kind of connected, but it's like, for my individual, I'm my own, but we're all are, how can I explain it? Like, but we're all together, we're all connected. So then I was in the shower, because the best thoughts come in the shower.
Funny how that works.
I
And
agree.
I was I was thinking about something, and I had to write it down so I get it right, because I don't want to stumble. What if as above, so below pertains to the agreements that we as the collective, meaning our soul, make for our time here on earth, maybe for our this time in the dream, but while we're in human form. And also we're given our own personal challenges for growth and evolution, but then we're also given group challenges to push us to grow even more, learning from each other, even though we don't always agree with each other. So I was thinking, like, also the powers that want to be are just a created challenge for us. There's no real dark or evil. It like there's no bad forces working to control us or hurt us. It's just a challenge that we created for ourselves to see how we all deal with it together.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, so you're feeling that.
Mm-hmm.
It was just
Fully.
something that came up. Like, I'm in the shower and I'm just like, I wonder. It was like, some people call it a download. It was just like the information that entered my mind.
Yeah, I mean it's like you hear this all the time. It's like a video game, right? And
Yeah.
so before we came here, we designed the video game. You know, and look at as above, so below, my most favorite metagory. Metagory, that's a mixture of allegory and metaphor. Who does that? So, anyway, my most favorite allegory or metaphor, as above, so below. You know, everything repeats like a fractal on every scale. And you know, your as above, so below here is look at, look at the guys who are designing games like Super Mario. You know, they put everything where it was intentionally. You know, and when you're designing like levels in a video game and where you place enemies and bosses and stuff like that, you're not doing it at random. You know, and it's not like you're just making it harder and harder and harder and harder. They have to have guys who test the game. You know, so they're thinking, they're predicting your reaction. You know, so you are designing this video game, and it's not a fucking it's not a one layer cake. It's a it's a matrix cake. It's a fractal cake.
Yeah.
You know, so once you figure out some information, you're going to react in a certain way, but your higher feminine self must keep your lower masculine self here for right now. You want to, or whatever the reason is, and so you're going to have to predict that reaction and do something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm feeling it.
I like it.
No, it's just
yeah.
listening to what you said and kind of what I've experienced and what I've gotten through meditation and hypnosis. It's just, again, it's these synchronicities, these things that just kind of show up all of a sudden that coincide with what you're going through or what you're seeing. And it's, for me, it's nice because it's like, I always say this, but I'm not crazy because somebody else gets it.
Yeah.
It feels nice.
It's pretty wild. I mean, like I said earlier, even though I interviewed local rappers and just talked about stupid stuff all the time, I did talk about this stuff, you know, and so I had at least I've had my entire life, but I've had at least a good year or so saying this stuff, right? And pretty much everybody telling me that I am crazy, right? And so it's so funny. And I had already made a deal with myself last year, and the deal was I just keep doing a show forever because I want to. That's what I feel like doing.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, no matter who listens, just fucking do it. And almost the moment I changed the name, I've got hundreds of listeners now, all this great stuff. I mean, if I showed you the screenshot of my like podcast hosting stats or whatever, it's literally like a flat line and then it goes up.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I screamed at no one and got called crazy for a year, and you know, it's not as though towards the end of it I was like, I don't know, man, I don't know if I should keep doing this. Towards the end of it, I mean, I changed your show in January. In December, I was like a giant because I believe myself.
That is so important right there because we did this show just for us. And we went in saying, if we have 2 listeners or 2 million, it doesn't matter. We're doing this for us. And so the numbers to us don't matter. But definitely we've noticed, like, especially, after Human Vibration was on, okay, it piqued people's interest. And a lot of the stuff that we talk about, we've been talking about it. It's nothing new. It just got more ears and more eyes on us. That's all. So, but again, we do it for us. And when you do it for yourself and you don't do it for anyone else because that's what you want, that's what matters. It doesn't matter who likes your show,
And I think,
how many listen.
yeah, and I think too, it's important that you're being your authentic self and you're not trying to cater to just try to get ears on your show or eyeballs on your show or whatever. But it's more so just, hey, this is us, for us. This is us. This is what we feel. We're being true to our true authentic selves. This is not an act. You know what I mean? Like, we goofed around a little bit when we first started out because I used to be a pro wrestler and I was a bad guy. Oh
shit, for real?
Yeah.
That's sick, dude.
Thanks. I was a bad guy, right? So
you were a heel.
I was a heel, yes. And so I used to, incorporate some of those mannerisms, I guess. I'd like snap at her.
Oh,
I
got you. You would talk like a wrestler on the show.
It was like he was the macho man and I was the Miss Elizabeth. I was his valet. And so
and I was, and after a while, I'm like, I got to stop doing that because I'd listen back to myself. I'm like, it just sounds so.
But that was like our gimmick. I was the trophy wife. I was all like purdied up and everything. But the interesting thing is when we started using that gimmick in wrestling, like once we got married, I was like, I'm going to be your trophy wife. And then we just incorporated it into the gimmick for wrestling. So we'll keep that because regardless of what people have said about me looking like a trophy wife, my energy is trophy, damn it. Yeah.
Right. But after we just dropped all that and just started being who we are. I mean, when we turn the mics off and everything, we still talk about the same stuff. We still act the same way. This isn't a show or anything like that for, we're not putting on an act, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. This is how we are.
I think I'm actually more goofy off the show. I try to
probably
reel it
are
in.
A little more goofy
I try to reel
off.
it in.
But that's funny, man. I mean, similar thing for me, kind of. I just kind of like, I think I was in the shower too. Kind of had the thought of like, I should just change my show, and like I think very verbally. I have very verbal thoughts, and my thoughts are just like, I don't fucking care anymore. I'm just gonna tell them how it is.
And it's awesome.
And there you go.
Yeah.
And look where you are now. We're having this awesome conversation.
Bam.
Yeah. You know what fucks up a lot of, at least people on podcasts specifically, 99% of the time is money. Is advertisers and ad revenue. Because people deny it all day long, but if you have so much as one advertiser, there are things you probably should and should not do and things you probably should and should not say if you want to keep a good relationship with that advertiser.
Of course. Yep.
We'll never get ads. That's okay.
When I first started out and I did Ketsuban versus the World, probably the first 20 episodes, I did ads, which is so funny because the first one, I think it was my buddy here in Oklahoma, because we have legal weed here. He opened a dispensary, and so the first ad, he gave me some weed, and so I did an ad for his dispensary. And the second one, I have a friend who she does like eyebrows now or something, and I had her Venmo me $20, and then I did an ad for her and stuff like that. And then I did all kinds of shit there. But I think 20, 30 episodes in, I stopped. I said, "Why? I sound like an idiot. Who would hear me saying this and go buy a product?" And then I kind of had that epiphany about, this is making me my non-authentic self. So it's cool that you guys say that because it's pretty similar here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
awesome.
we've always, like, if we advertise something, whether it's our friends' podcasts or just promoting something like for a friend of ours of something we like, it's always because we truly like it. So we've done stuff where like I find someone on Etsy and I put them over because it's just, I think this is awesome. I have this little platform. Why not share it?
Well, and there's nothing in it for you.
I
That's
just
to me, that's the
I just
mark of
want them to do
authenticity.
well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, when it's very obvious it's very obvious when people do things for a reason. You know, rather than just saying, "Hey, you should check this out. I like it."
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's probably stigmatized nowadays to where when someone's recommending something to you, you know, everyone's automatic reaction, "Why? Are they
But
getting money
Yeah.
for this?"
Right.
yeah. And we
Yeah.
actually had to say it on a show because it was like, we just like it. And we want to tell people about it
Yeah.
because we figure if we like it, you might like it.
Yeah.
That's all. And we like it. So we want the person to do well. Like we want to support local stuff. We're not saying go to Walmart and buy this shit.
Yeah.
It's, hey, this is somebody who made this with their hands, or this is somebody who like does this all by themselves. They're not a corporation. It's a person and they're doing this work and it's awesome. And so, and that's another reason why we like having other podcasts on the show. We talk about it where we have to help each other. We have to promote each other. Like we're in this together. We know what it's like to do this. We know what it's like when you don't want to record, but you got to get that show out every week because you want that consistency and you want to do it. And as soon as you start, you're like, yeah, this is awesome. You have
Yeah,
fun doing it.
isn't that how it goes? You have fun. It's so funny. You think
Yeah.
you have that dread, like, oh, I gotta go put on an act. Like you forget that you chose to be authentic, and then 5 to 10 minutes into it, you're like, oh yeah, why would I not want to do this?
For me, it's like, because we started recording once the kids go to bed. We used to be able to do it in the afternoon when they were napping, but now they've all stopped. So now we have to let them go to sleep.
No more naps for them.
No.
Yeah.
And we wake up very early. So we have to
Yeah.
wait to get them to bed. And then it's like, I just want to go lay in bed and sleep. But it's like, but then it's like, I don't want to record because I just want to go to sleep. But then the moment we start,
Yeah. Once
like
you get
even
going,
even
second
before,
wind
like once we sit
right
down and
away.
we're sound checking, we just have so much fun. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, it like feels right. You know, another thing that's so funny when I had that my year of doing a show that I'm like really excited, but no one listening, no one caring. I quit probably I don't know 2 or 3 times. I've just made the conscious decision like I'm not having fun anymore. It's a pain in my ass to edit this. No one's even listening to it. What you know, not in like a detrimental way. Just like I'll just do something else and then live my life. Every single one of those times, I a, I think the most that went by was a week and a half before I'm like, oh, I gotta do a pod. I just want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. And that's why you should. Right.
Exactly.
You know,
It's the
it's
only
like
reason why you should, because you want
you
to.
can't quit. So
Yeah.
it's the only thing in my life that I've ever quit and then started doing again, besides drugs.
Tremendous. Yeah. If you like doing it, do it. And I
Yeah.
feel like with your show, what you're doing, you're just bringing different perspective. You're opening up other doors for people to look through, or windows for people to look in and say, oh, okay, this is different. I mean, I've listened to some of the people on your show and I might kind of feel like, I don't know how I feel about this, but I always I want to listen and process it because
Oh
I
man,
feel like even if something right off the bat isn't resonating with me, I feel like, okay, well, I'd be a hypocrite if I just shut it down. So why? Why is it not resonating, or why is it making me feel uncomfortable? Let me listen to it. Another friend has a podcast and she had a guest on. The way she was talking, I was getting like, the mindset of, oh, she's one of those people. Okay. And not necessarily agreeing. And then I'm stopping myself, like, why are you thinking this way? Oh, open your mind. And then I actually really ended up liking the show. So it's like, and that's usually what happens. The moment I can, like, I feel like for the most part, so many people, I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of people, it's a natural reaction, but
yeah, it
it's
is. I
how you control it. Like once you realize, oh, this is how I'm reacting, even if it's just all internally. Oh, why am I
well,
doing this? And okay, let me calibrate and move forward.
you guys think? How do you feel about the idea that, or do you agree that we are all reflections of each other?
I do. And
Okay, so sorry, go ahead.
no, you go.
So when you see somebody and you see something you don't like, it's very corny, cliche, convoluted, but it really is you. It's always you. It's always you seeing the thing you don't like in you. And
Yes.
everybody's heard that a million times, whatever, but really,
I've
it's
proven it to
really
myself.
always you.
I've
You
proven
did?
it to myself because there was someone that I was working with, and oh my gosh, she was getting on my nerves. And I stopped because there was a part of her that reminded me of the old me. And once I realized that, because I'm like, why? Why am I feeling this way? And I was like, man, that's the old me. And I didn't like how I was then. I didn't like that I was a doormat, and I didn't like that I didn't have control of my life. I didn't like that. And so what I started doing is, instead of allowing it to irk me and get to me, all I did was just keep sending love, like so much love and positive energy and healing and protective energy. Just like every night, I've mentioned on the show before, but every night I do, it's, some people will call it a prayer, but it's like a protection. So I just visualize this energetic protection, like shield of protection of energy over my children, over us, our family, our loved ones, our friends. Like I do, like everyone. And sometimes I focus extra on people who I feel like they need it a little more. And I started including her, healing, loving, protective energy, and just visualizing her and it going around her. And then I put that into the collective. I put that protective energy into the collective. And so that's kind of my little ritual that I do. But because of that, because I saw this is old me and I don't like that, I was like, let me do for her what I don't know if anyone did for me, but let me do that because we are each other.
Yeah, and I think that it's always that's always where you want to be or what you want to aim for. Is you want to help. That's, I mean, beautifully put. You want to help the older version of you out. Particularly when you didn't get any help and you had to figure something out, and you had to maybe had a thought like, if one fucking person just said this one sentence to me, I would have got it, and there wouldn't have been all this stuff happening. You know, you can go say that sentence to that person and make their day.
Yeah. And that's what I try to do, when this person puts themselves down. Why do you do that? You're not that, don't lower yourself to that level. See your value, see your worth. You know what I mean? It's like the things I wish people would say to me when I was that person. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, that's kind of what I aspire to do. And it's like forget I forget who said it. Buddha, enlightenment is like bathing. You must do it daily. Blah, blah, blah. But all this great stuff I talk about on the show, I forget all the time. I forget the stuff, the actual concept, and I have to remember all the time, constantly. And I think that when you're seeing yourself reflected through those other people, that's maybe your subconscious, your higher self subconsciously communicating with you or something like that, but just saying, hey, don't forget, here's a reminder. I actually have a mantra I say to myself all the time, and it's nothing matters. And I will get stressed out, worked up, bad times, and I will actually remember, oh yeah, nothing matters. And it's just this huge weight off my shoulders, and then everything's fixed. I literally remember, oh yeah, this is a dream, who cares? And go about my day, and it works.
That's
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
that's
great.
awesome.
One of the things about this being a dream, uh, do you dream? Are you a lucid dreamer? Tell me a little bit about like your dreams at nighttime.
So ever since I was a child, I don't know how old I was, probably 9 or 10, but I heard about lucid dreaming. I stumbled upon this concept, and it blew my mind. I was like, you can control what's in your dream, so you can do whatever you want. So you're like God, right? And so I looked into it. I got into that stuff, and it actually worked, right? And so I had this big, huge like 6 month phase with lucid dreaming when I was a kid, and I feel like everybody probably has a similar kind of vibe as they're growing, but I thought that everybody had this great lucid dreaming phase. I thought that until like 6 months ago, and nobody's done this. Nobody knows about this, and to me, it blew my mind. I'm like, that was my world for 6 months. Why would you not want to go lucid dream and astral plane and astral project and all this great stuff? How could you not have tried that? That's how I felt growing up.
I didn't realize, like, I didn't know what lucid dreaming was. I've been lucid dreaming since I was a child, but I didn't know that's what it was called. And it wasn't until a few years ago where I realized, like, oh, where you have control in your dream. Because
Yeah.
ever since I was a kid, because it actually started, I remember, I think I was 10 or 11. And I had a specific dream where when I was 11, I lived at home with my parents at the house on the property. I was being chased by somebody. And I kept having this recurring dream. And finally, I was like, wait a minute, I've done this before. I'm going to go this way. I went a different way. And every time I had this recurring dream, I was like, wait a minute. And then finally I realized this is a dream. I can do whatever I want. You can't chase me. And it was like, it clicked. At first, it's like, I can do this, I can do that. And then it was like, I can control it. And it went on with dreams of like zombies. And because I have this obsession with zombies, because my parents owned a video store, I watched Night of the Living Dead when I was 7. So I'd always have this thing with zombies. And then one night I had a dream about zombies. And instead of being afraid, I was like, no, we're going to have fun. And it was like, then we started hanging out and having fun, and it was cool. And I have that ability, and it doesn't happen every night, but I have that. But sometimes I like to just see where it's going to, like, okay, where are we going with this? Let's see what happens. But sometimes I have dreams where there's a connection with somebody, and the feeling, the energy, it's so strong. I feel like I'm having a memory from a past life. And I feel like the person in the dream is from a past life, somebody I was connected to, and that I'm connected to, just not here in
Do they
this.
exist here?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know.
Hmm.
Can't find them. But in my dream, it's like this connection where it feels like, I know people say they have dreams that it feels so real, but it's a different energy. Like when I dream about my husband or I dream about my kids, but this is different when I have these connections. And I just think, is it possible that sometimes our lives when we're sleeping are intersecting, all our different lives, our incarnations are maybe intertwining because our consciousness isn't thinking. We're not in beta state, so it's not like, oh no, this doesn't make sense, this isn't logical, telling our brain how to process it.
Yeah.
And our subconscious is opening back up to memories.
So you know how drunk drivers, they never die because they're limp?
Yeah. Mhm.
Same concept.
Yeah.
Same concept. You can, when you're tensed up, all this stuff, you're not going to be able to go lucid. But when you remember and you just have like a real light touch, like a safe cracker or a pickpocket, and I love everything you just said, and I think that everybody really should apply the exact same concepts in waking life.
And that's what I wonder too, is if this can be possible in a dream, then what about real life? Maybe we're just not able to perceive it, because I feel like it's there.
Have you tried the lucid dreaming stuff?
I have not. I've never had one. It's weird for me. I can wake up from a dream, and if I was really into whatever was going on in the dream, I can fall back asleep and go back into that same dream, which I don't know if I don't know what you call that, but I can't control really. I don't feel like I can control what's happening in the dream, but I can go back to it to see how it turns out. So I don't know what that's
Interesting.
called.
I
Yeah.
don't know what that's called either, but I've done that before. I don't know if it was so much in. I don't know. Maybe it was intentional, but definitely I've experienced that before, where you're in the same dream and you're like, oh, holy shit! And it's not lucid, like you're doing a bunch of weird stuff,
Yeah.
but you do know it's a dream.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're like, what the hell is going? What the hell is this?
Yeah. And I've had the same dream multiple times throughout the years. And I don't. I mean, it's always the same. I'm doing the same. I shouldn't say it's the same dream. I'm doing the same thing in the dream, but in different areas with different people around, and it's
What are you
weird.
doing?
It's hard to explain it.
Just try.
All right, I'll do my best. I run really fast. I can jump. Like I'll be running down the street, we'll say, and I jump, and all of a sudden I'm running in the air. Like I'm just in the air, essentially not flying like with wings, but I'm just like running in the air and I'm floating above everything and everybody. And people are watching me. And when I want to, I come down. But when I come down, I'm running really fast, but I'm running on all fours, almost like a tiger or a lion or something. But it's me. It's not like, it's not like I turned into an animal. It's still me just running on all fours, but I'm running really fast. And then I can get back up and run on both legs and then jump and I'm flying again.
Wow.
It,
Are you running
it's,
kind of like a monkey or a gorilla, or is it more like a dog? Like your arms are affixed there.
yeah, it's more like a dog. Yeah. Like just,
Wow.
yeah,
That's wild, man.
I don't know what it means,
That
but
could
it
be
happens all the time.
that could be what she said about past lives intersecting and all that stuff. Like you could have been a dog. Dogs are important. I think it
Maybe.
was human dogs gets God backwards. I think it was Human Vibration on Twitter the other day that showed that it was Toto that
Yeah.
revealed the man behind the curtain. There's
Yeah.
something there, and there's a lot of stuff like this where I don't know what dogs mean. I don't know everything there. I can't articulate it, but I'm telling you, there's something there.
I worked in veterinary medicine for over 15 years. It's like you put yourself through those trauma with the animals because I feel like it's worth it. Just feeling their love. It's like even for one moment, it's so worth the pain. But
Yeah.
that's my 2 cents. But.
It's funny because you mentioned dogs. I've never owned a dog. We didn't have one growing up. We've always had cats, but I love dogs. Like if friends have dogs or whatever, like I love dogs. And I feel like dogs for the most part, I got bit by a dog once actually when I was like 3 years old. And even though that happened, I was never afraid of them. Like I always liked them. So I don't know if that's connected or means anything, but it probably means something. It's just figuring out what that is.
Yeah, and a lot of these things, whatever the meaning is, we don't necessarily need to know. It
Yeah.
could be for your subconscious, like the whole angel numbers thing. To me, it's like you're going on a website that's listing number sequences and it's telling you it means this exact specific thing. How could that be true? Anytime you get too specific, you're wrong, basically. So
Yeah.
it's to me the angel number thing is like it could be your subconscious communicating, like I said earlier, your higher self telling something to your lower self. It could be just part of the code of the matrix. Who the fuck knows? It could be anything, man. It could be I think Human Vibe says it's a wink, a subtle nod from the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the stuff you see online is trying to be a guide. But I feel like we talked about it before, when you get into absolutes, like it is this. That's when it's like, no,
You're
no.
wrong. Yeah, I always
Yeah.
talk about this. I figured this out. You know, in either polarity is wrong. It's always in the middle. Your answer always in the middle. Always, always, always. People know that, but they forget when they run into problems. And then you go, it's always in the middle, and they go, oh, and they keep moving.
Yeah, well, we just said it on last week's show. So I talk about like I'm either like total love and light or total darkness, and and I try to work on that balance. And we were talking about like Star Wars and good versus evil, and they're both so righteous and absolute. And I was like, I realized like I'm not good, I'm not bad, I just am. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, everything is. That's everything.
Yeah,
Everything
it just
just
is.
exists.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
I love it.
Very true. Yeah.
Since we were talking about dreaming, I'm just curious now because we were talking about different things in this conversation. I'm just curious whether you or anyone listening has ever had this happen before. Sometimes when I wake up from sleeping, I get total amnesia. I don't know who I am, which is weird because I'll lucid dream, but then I wake up, I don't know who I am. I don't know where I am. I don't know anything. And I'm like laying in bed, just like,
How long?
it's probably for 30 seconds. It feels like a long time, maybe 30 seconds to a minute. It's hard to tell time because the whole thing I'm figuring out. And what's weird is I go back to my dreams and I think, what did I dream about? Because I knew I woke up, but I'm like, what did I dream about? And then that helps me kind of find my way. And then I'll be like, who's next? Where am I? I'm in a bed. Okay, I'm with somebody. And you know what I mean? It's just like I have
Interesting.
no
So
clue.
when you have this amnesia, do you retain, like, do you know what a human is?
It's
What
not
do
like
you know?
all I know is I'm here. It's like I don't know anything. It's almost like being born again and not
Hmm.
knowing anything except what you just came from. And
Yeah,
I just came from the dream.
yeah, which is the source, and so you're having. It's interesting. So you have a period. So you go to the source, you come back. To me, it's kind of like this is just like a work shift. So you go to the source and you come back, and then for 30 seconds or so you just are.
Yeah, that's confusing
Lot,
as fuck.
well, a lot of people spend their entire life seeking that,
Yeah,
if
that's
even for
true.
only 30 seconds.
Yeah. And
That's
and
like
here
a
I get it
big
randomly.
it's
Thank
like a
you,
big
universe.
I am thing. So if I were you, I would fuck with that. I would set things up so you can trick yourself and experiment with yourself and really try to figure out what the hell's going on.
That's a good idea. I'm gonna
That,
try to work on that.
that's interesting. Yeah, just
Yeah.
don't like stab me or something. Like, who's
No,
this fucking guy next to me? And just
no, it's just weird. It's like I think I just explained it the best way I can. It's like being born again. You know absolutely nothing except of where you just came from. But
That's bizarre.
it's crazy. But I've asked around and nobody has ever experienced that.
I've never heard that anywhere. Like anything I've read, never come across that.
And I've tried to look it up online, and people are like, you could be having a brain aneurysm or something like that. You might have epilepsy. And it's like, you could be having a seizure. It's like,
So it's always
no.
going to the worst possible scenario.
It's like,
Yeah.
maybe yeah, it's just funny. It's like, I don't think it's that. I'm not feeling it. But yeah. So I figured since we're having these fun conversations, I'm going to throw it out there.
Why not? Yeah,
'Cause
why not?
we really don't have many other people to talk about this to other than people who come on our show.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, we gotta set some stuff up in the room
Yeah.
for you and mess with that. That's a great idea.
That is
Thank you.
awesome.
That is a
And
great
that's
idea.
why it's so fun, like talking to other people and bouncing these thoughts off of other people and seeing what they get. Like you just brought these awesome ideas and this great perspective to us. And I feel like that's what it's all about, having these conversations and let's blow each other's minds,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
see what happens.
for
Have
sure.
you ever
love
heard
it.
of the wisdom of the crowd?
No.
So the wisdom of the crowd, it's this concept that's it's not that hard to explain. Let me see. The collective opinion of a group of individuals rather than that of a single expert. This process, while not new to the information age, has been pushed into the main blah blah blah. Just a bunch of stupid shit. So it's the concept that, to me, I thought everybody inherently knew this, but the more there are, the more people there are, the more likely they're gonna get it right. Obviously, how do I explain this? I think Crow 777, he had a good example that was like at a county fair or something. There was a game where you had to guess how many gumballs were in a jar, and one person had like a 50% chance or 40%, whatever it was. Two people had this chance or whatever it was. But after you get up to so many people, and it's not that much, it's a lot of people, but it's not like a mind blowing number. You have 100% chance of guessing it. And so yeah, the more minds we hook up, we all know most of the answer, I think, but there are some holes, and so we're just filling those holes.
Yeah.
Like a puzzle, we all got a piece, so we just gotta come together and
I mean,
Put it
if you were
together.
God, wouldn't you do this for fun? And
I'm
wouldn't you, as
I'm
your
pretty messed up, so yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like as your higher self, would you not fuck with your lower self and mess with you? I would.
But I feel like our higher self, it doesn't want us to have harm. You know what I mean? It wants us to win the game.
Yeah, I think it
It's
just wants
like,
to lightly push us in the
yeah,
direction it wants us to go.
but we got to have our challenges because what fun is it?
And and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of a lot of it is I really do think that this is just for fun.
So why don't we just have fun?
hell yeah, it is all about
Hey,
fun.
Yeah.
And
That's
and,
what I've
and
been
once you
doing.
have that attitude, it gets fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the concept of you find what you're looking for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If I'm just looking for stuff to be great, here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that goes with everything, because look at what goes on right now in the world. Cancel culture, right? People literally looking for things to get pissed about so they can be part of cancel culture.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you're looking for, you're gonna find it.
Yeah.
So, somehow, some way. Why not look for good? Look for fun, for love.
Yeah.
Why not that?
I mean, like we said earlier, everything just is. Everything just exists, and you can attribute whatever kind of energy you want to it. You literally have the option. So why make it negative?
Exactly.
To me, my thing is like you could just have. I tell people this all the time, and nobody is into it. But I'm like, you could just have a really great time all the time if you want to.
If you allow yourself to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. When you look at like I said a second ago, you attribute types of energies to stuff. So when you look at something, we can all agree on this. You can convince yourself either way.
Yeah.
That this is how human beings' brains work. You can convince yourself of whatever you need to get by. So why don't we go ahead and convince ourselves that things are great and we're having a good time?
I'm with you.
Yeah. That's kind of how
I'm
I
with
am
you.
anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to be positive. And if
Yeah.
people around me want to be negative, and that's fine. That's what they're doing. But I have like my little protective bubble that they can't impede upon. They can't bring
Yeah.
me down.
And I do think it's important to make a distinction between that and like the fake convoluted positiveness that you see, because that's there too. I think it's Noah Lambert that says there's a trap at every level of awareness. So every place that every node, I don't know what the word would be, every component of you waking up, there's a trick there, and you can get stuck on that trick.
Oh, I agree with that. Absolutely. Well, because like when you think about love and light, it's never just
Hate it.
love and light. Like that's a great thing to want to obtain. But again, there's that balance. And a lot of people think like, from my perspective, I've seen a lot of people who try to not do the shadow work to try to get there. And it's like, you got to face like the worst of yourself. You got to come face to face with that, because without darkness, there's no light. There's nothing to counter.
Yeah,
You
I
need
mean,
that
to come
balance.
full circle, I forget. I lost it. It was so good though.
It'll come back.
What did you just
Love
say?
and light.
What's the?
No,
oh yeah, love
you
and
have
light.
to go through.
Love and light.
You have to
Yeah.
go through the darkness, because without darkness, there's no light. without light. You know what I mean? Like you need to have a balance.
Thought it was gonna come by now. Oh, this is tough.
Isn't that the worst?
Yeah, it happens to me just over and over and over every day.
Just earlier before we recorded, I was like talking about like my sweater. I'm like, I don't want to put it on. I don't want to. And then like we were just being silly and joking around. And he's like, you don't want to? And then I like totally forgot what I was talking about. Like, I don't want to what? What was that?
Yeah, it was like that quick.
Yep.
I was
I don't
like,
wanna, I don't
huh?
wanna.
What was
don't
I
wanna what?
talking?
I don't know.
All day, every day. I lose stuff. Like I'll lose something. Like I'll lose my vape here. You know, just in a really stupid place, and then I'll freak out and look for it for like 45 minutes. You know, and you would think that would stop happening, but it doesn't. Like once a day, every day, I have some huge panic from just misplacing something or just forgetting what I was gonna say.
I forget
What's
what
up
I'm
with
going to say
that?
all the time. It's just your nature. Like, are you familiar with human design?
Vaguely.
So our friend Michelle Johnston, she does human design readings. And basically what it does is it kind of breaks everyone down based off the date and time of their birth to their personality, but also just their nature, like the way they're designed and why they do the things they do and what they can do to prevent negative things. Like, so for example, with my human design, I'm a projector and like it kind of goes like a more broader and then it breaks down like to little intricate parts of you. And one of the things with me is I've been through a lot and I have a lot that I can use from what I've been through to help others. But nobody will listen to me unless like they ask for it. So if you say, "Oh yeah, my dog's really sick." And I'm like, "Well, I have 15 years of veterinary, medicine experience and you're just kind of telling me what's going on." I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like this and you can do this, this and this." And you don't do anything with it. Cuz my parents did this to me all the time. But then like 3 months later you're like, "Oh yeah, I was talking to so and so and they told me blah blah blah." And I'm like, "That's what I
Fucking
told
told you
you."
that.
Like 3 months
Yeah.
ago. But and it gets really frustrating because and like you like one of the phrases is like you get bitter. I don't know if I get bitter. I just get frustrated because it's like that sucks. Like why didn't you listen to me? But it's because if
Yeah.
that information you have is not invited in, if they're not open to it and they're not ready and asking for it, it's going to fall on deaf ears. So it's
Yeah.
like you have to like if people aren't asking you, realize that if you say something and they don't listen to it, they don't take it in, don't get frustrated. So, or just keep your mouth shut. So that's what I've done. So it helps. So it has like good things like where you learn about yourself and how you can tweak yourself to get less frustrated or, cause self-destruction. And it's very interesting. But some of the stuff you said too with the archetypes and everything, it's like because we all have this design, it's how we are. And I think maybe one of your designs is you forget stuff. That's okay. It's
What
just
the
your
fuck? Why would
design.
I do that? So I
It's just
experienced
who
the
you
same
are.
thing though. Like nobody. I've already told people the answer when they come to the conclusion. Like every time. You know, and you would think I tell my wife this all the time. I'm like, at what point are you going to start thinking that what I'm saying is right, even though you don't believe it in the moment? How many times do I have to be right about such trivial things before you're disagreeing, but you're like, well, but he has been right like 2,000 times. But I will say that when the people come around, they're really into it.
Yeah. A lot of times it's like, oh, yeah, you did say that. Yeah, I did. I did. That's okay. It's just our design. It's
It's
how,
just
and it's
it's
their
just how it
design,
is. Yeah.
it's how it is. But yeah. So Ketsuban, thank you so much for joining us today. Tell everyone how they can find you.
Good lord. It's such a mess. So Twitter, the wrong warp. Instagram, a gateway drug. You can join the Facebook group, The Wrong Warp, and that's a very great way where you can see all of the after shows and bonus shows and stuff like that. Like there's an extra hour in there with Rambo, an extra hour with Murph, there's with Eyes, all this stuff. So join the Facebook group, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook group. There's some real obvious thing that I'm forgetting here. The Wrong Warp, the podcast you can find on any audio platform that exists. You can just Google it. I'm sorry if that was rude.
Why was
But
that rude?
you can.
Yeah, why was that rude? That wasn't rude at all, man.
No.
You're good.
And we'll put everything in the show notes too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're meant to, I honestly would say don't look for me. If you want to hear my podcast, just go search the podcast and find it. But if I'm meant to find you, I'll find you.
I love it.
There you go.
I love it.
Awesome, man.
Is there anything else before we wrap up that you want to say?
Oh, no.
Thank you very much
Good
for
enough.
joining us.
Thank you so much. We had a blast.
I had a lot of fun. Thank you guys for having me on.
All right. So that was a fun conversation.
That really was.
And and like we said at the start of the show, right after we finished our interview with him, we recorded his show. So we're going to be on his show as well.
And he was on Facebook Live. So I believe you can find it on Facebook. If we don't have Facebook, but if you do, you can find it on there. And he has a special thing where you can subscribe for, we spent a time after we recorded to record.
Like an after show.
Yeah, it's an after show. So you can check that out too. It was really neat.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we talked a lot about pro wrestling.
We did.
We talked about just stuff like about how we met and stuff like that. So if that interests you, check it out.
Yeah, some spirituality, like a lot of that.
Yeah, we had a really, really fun time. Really good conversation, I feel.
It
a lot of fun.
Again, I think I said it somewhere between the conversations of tonight.
It's hard to keep track.
But to him in person, it's so nice when you have these people where you can just have these conversations and bounce these thoughts and ideas off of them and not have to put the preface of, now this might sound crazy or I don't want to sound crazy, but you're just, being able to just put out what you think and having people not only listen, but also maybe give some feedback on it. I thought, it's so cool. Like with what he was saying about your dreams and, maybe being a dog in a past life. And it's like, you haven't heard that. And it doesn't mean that that's what it is. It's just like, hey, let's think about that.
It's just another angle to approach things from.
And it's really cool to get these different angles.
Yeah.
It's fun and it's awesome.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so fun about this community that's kind of growing now is you get to see and hear so many different viewpoints and opinions and just things that I see it all the time. The mind blown emoji, right? It feels like you see that more and more because these are concepts and ideas that people are exchanging that are just like, whoa, I never thought of that before. And it's just awesome. It's really fun to be doing this.
And not just that, but like the people, like you said, the community.
Yes.
The people we are talking to, and not just the people who are guests on our show, but just like the people on Twitter we're having conversations with. So like, I think a lot of the people are listening. So shout out to you because you guys are incredible. You come up with like these awesome things or just the support that you give. You all bring so much and it just makes it that much better. Like we love you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so awesome just seeing, again, just the exchange of ideas, which isn't that what life's all about?
And the support.
The exchange of ideas, having conversations.
Being open to it. And that's what I mean with support too. Being open to that and not being like, oh, you're crazy or you're stupid or you're wrong or that's not true. It's just like, cool. Or, hey, well, you said this and it made me think of this. And it's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great. What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
It's great. So where can people find us, my lady? We have a Twitter.
We do at Homewrecker Pod.
Mines.
I keep forgetting to post.
I think we may just
it's like 2 weeks in a row. I might get rid of it. Nobody's on there. We might just do Twitter.
It may just be exclusive to Twitter.
At Homewrecker Podcast.
And our website.
Homewreckerpodcast.com.
And where can people find you?
Me?
You.
You can find me on Twitter at _Monique Giselle with 1L _. I have an Etsy shop, Wonders by Monique, and I have a website, tarotbymonique.com. And you, Alex, how can everyone find you?
I am also on Twitter at the Alex Arion, and I got a website, alexarionfitness.com. I still can't get on there to update or upload anything. I don't know what's going on with it, but yeah, check it out if you want to.
And Arion is spelled Arion because we had somebody on
Arion,
YouTube
yes.
mention spell it. So we're
Arion.
Arion. It's in the show notes, but there you go.
There you have it. So, and of course, if you're watching, thank you. Please hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, Brighteon, or Odyssey.
Yes.
We appreciate it. And and as Monique said, comments are welcome. And we try to answer as much of them as we can. And if you're listening, for our hearers, as you like to say,
yes,
please hit the subscribe button. And if you don't mind taking a few seconds to leave a 5-star review, it helps people to find the show. If you want to take the time to write a review, we appreciate that too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's everything, right?
Yeah. And again, I just want to give a big thank you to Ketsuban for joining us. And his podcast is the Wrong Warp podcast. I'll have all his info in our show notes.
Yes.
And definitely, if you haven't heard him, check him out.
Yeah, he's got a great show.
Yeah.
And he's had a lot of great guests as well.
Yes.
But even just the shows where he's just flying solo, he's got a very, very unique perspective on things. And I like his delivery. He's very matter of fact about things. And it's refreshing. I enjoyed it, have a lot of fun listening to his stuff. And I had a lot of fun talking to him today.
And we hope you enjoyed listening and watching as well.
Absolutely. So until next time, I am the Golden Greek, Alex Arion, joined as always by my beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, amazing trophy wife, Monique.
And you've been listening to the Homewrecker podcast.